Okay, I'm Ravina. This is the Making the Familiar Strange assignment, and I've tried to record this like 3 different times on like 3 different platforms. So hopefully this time works. I have my notes up on my laptop, so hopefully this time works. But all right, so here we go. So the first observation that I did, I chose culture terms for the first one. And I split my time, so I went to Joe's, then I went to Hunt, and I split my time in half. So for the first term, I chose social norms, so just people like throwing away trash, like instead of leaving it at tables, because like littering is considered like rude and like disrespectful and stuff, so obviously you're not gonna, leave the trash. And also for the custodians who have to, clean up after you, it's kind of rude. So just throwing away like all your trash like when you're done eating. Positive sanctions was the next one I chose. So person X this is at the dining hall. Person X gives person Y a receipt, and then person Y says thank you to person X. So the positive sanction is person Y saying thank you to person X. And then the third one I chose was folkway violations. So when a small or a single person sits at a bigger table, but there's like a bigger groups that need to like sit at like bigger tables, it's kind of a violation of like social rules because it prevents people in like bigger groups from being able to like sit together. So that is a bit of a problem. Then the fourth one I chose was symbols, just like symbols on bins and like trash cans and stuff, like recycling symbols, garbage, recycling, food waste, stuff like that. Like at the dining hall, they have different bins for food waste and recycling and stuff like that. So then the fifth one I chose, the last one for this observation, is negative sanctions. That is, so person A holds the door open for person B. Person B doesn't say thank you to person A. So the negative sanction there is person A not saying thank you to person B after something nice was done for person B, So yeah. Then the next observation I chose, to do Goffman's terms, and I did that at Joe's. So the first term I chose was impression management. There was a boy sitting across from a girl, trying to give off maybe the impression that he likes the girl, maybe. He was paying attention to her, making eye contact, laughing, smiling, so possibly he could be flirting. So that's his impression management. He's trying to give off the impression that he's interested in this girl, and stuff like that. So yeah. The second one was social construction. So at Joe's we have a line to get to the register, and following people in a line and not cutting in front of them and stuff like that is a social construct designed by humans to keep a large group of people in order when they all want the same specific thing. So yeah. Then the third one I chose was expression given off. So person A is standing in front of the straws, and so person B walks up to person A, because it's like a non-verbal way of letting person A know that person B wants to grab something from that little section at Joe's. So maybe they'll do like a little, try and scooch past them or something, but it's pretty much like the same thing. It's just a non-verbal way of letting them know that they need something instead of saying like excuse me or something. So the expression given off is person B walking up to person A. And then the last one, the fourth one, was face. So just like the Joe's workers, like they just have to keep like a certain like level of like professionalism about them, even though like mostly it's like run by students and stuff usually, but they have to keep like a certain level of professionalism because it's still like a real business. So then the last term that I chose, the last observation that I chose, to do was Durkheim. And so the first one, I chose a quote from passage 2. It's a little bit long, but I'm going to read it. It says, "If I do not conform to ordinary conventions, if in my mode of dress I pay no heed to what is customary in my country and in my social class, the laughter I provoke to the social distance at which I am kept produce, although in a more mitigated form, the same results as any real penalty." So what I take away from that is sometimes people don't really conform to like social norms. Maybe like they don't dress the way maybe they don't dress in a way that you would usually think that type of person would, you know. Maybe they have like wacky hair colors, who knows, but they're not conforming to a specific social construct or social norm. And so as a result of not conforming, you're essentially conforming to that particular social norm that you're trying to avoid. So not only that, but you're also getting backlash from you might receive some backlash from not conforming to social norms, because and that's what Durkheim say, where he says may result in a real penalty, is like the backlash you get from not conforming. Then the second one was I chose a quote from passage 3. It says, what constitutes social facts are the beliefs, tendencies, and practices of the group taken collectively. So what that means is, as a society, we've collectively like made rules and regulations as to like regarding like certain things and like what we can do, can't do, like shouldn't do, or shouldn't do. It's just like social facts are just like another way of saying like social norms, which have been created like by people. So, and if the whole group, like as a collective, doesn't agree that this one certain thing is bad and this other certain thing is good, then it doesn't work. So yeah. Then the third one I chose, that was a quote from passage 1, and this one is also a little bit long, but I'm going to read it just so that it makes sense. But it says, when I perform my duties as a brother, a husband, or a citizen, and I carry out the commitments I've entered into, I fulfill obligations which are defined in law and custom, and which are external to myself and my actions. Even when they conform to my sentiments, and when I feel their reality within me, that reality does not cease to be objective, for it is not who I have prescribed these duties. I have received them through education. Thus, there are ways of acting, thinking, feeling, which possess the remarkable property of existing outside the consciousness of the individual. So, everybody like has obligations, whether you're a brother, a sister, a mom, dad, friend, even maybe if you're on a sports team or something, you could have obligations like as a teammate and stuff. There's just like obligation, like students have obligations, you know, we have to finish assignments, show up to class, show up on time, you know, do our stuff. And all of these obligations come mostly naturally. We don't really think about these obligations because it's more of like human nature, and they don't really require like any like thinking per se. So yeah, hopefully this recording works. And thank you for listening, and yeah.